Welcome to Episode 4 of Discover Ocala, presented by Showcase Properties of Central Florida. I'm Valerie Dailey, the presenter for this podcast. In Episode 4, we visit with Sean Kaplan of Kaplan Media. Sean is the owner of the company that produces this podcast, as well as Horse Capital TV, and he is also the owner of Kaplan Advertising. So, Sean, this is exciting for me. I actually get to interview you, and you're the one that's always behind the camera. So I'm super excited about this.
Well, thank you, Valerie, and I appreciate you actually coming up with the idea to have me on, and thank you so much for thinking of it.
Oh, absolutely. So, in true honesty, Lacey was the one that came up with that. It was her idea. She's got great ideas. Great. So I love working with her. Yes. And we love working with you. Yeah. And, tell us a little bit about how you got started in this career.
Well, it's really been a 30-year career if I look back at my life and all it's been and has become. It's kind of a little nostalgic at this point because, believe it or not, 21 years of business, 20 years of Kaplan Advertising now. And so there's a lot of road bumps along the way, a lot of lessons learned, but also a lot of great things that have happened.
Did you foresee this?
No. It's a good question. And, you don't really think about how your life is going to turn out. I was working for Cox Communications in Roanoke, Virginia in 1994. And I had a lot of opportunity at a young age to get involved in broadcast TV, and that was a wonderful experience. Cox Communications was a great company to work for, and I know you're familiar with them.
Yes, I worked for them as well in the Gainesville area, and got to work in the Ocala branch for a little bit, yes.
So I credit that company really for giving me an opportunity from a young age, really being able to work my way up from part-time, overnights, working in the head end, slinging 3/4-inch tapes, if anybody knows what that is, overnights to run the commercials, all the way to working my way up to manager, up until about 30 years old.
All right. And so what made you decide to go out on your own?
Yeah. So it really was Ocala, and I love that this podcast is Discover Ocala because you're talking about all the things that are in the community. This community, I had formed a lot of good relationships, and those relationships were the folks that I still do a lot of business with today. But if I look back then, I was doing commercials for Frank DeLuca. I was doing commercials for Jerry Goss and Goss & Son Jewelers, for Hugh Dailey at Community Bank and Trust of Florida. So that's a starting point. And you don't think about it as a young age, how important relationships are. And these are the same relationships, fast forward 20 years later, that are so important to what we do now.
Exactly. And I think we talk a lot about that when you sit down with us to talk about the year, what we had planned, how we can showcase Ocala, discover Ocala. And it is all about the relationships.
It truly is, and that's how I've formed this company. About 10 years ago, we really went from being more video production to what I would call marketing management. Yeah. So DeLuca Toyota being a pretty important part of that, because without that relationship as a 24-year-old kid, now 51 years old, still involved working with a client, that's special.
Well, and he's an icon in the community, and he has faith in your abilities to showcase him, right?
I'm so very grateful for those relationships. I'm grateful for him. And, I can point to that, and I can point to a handful of other folks, too, that are very similar, that allowed this company to grow. And
yeah, so take it from DeLuca and Goss & Sons to Horse Capital TV.
Yeah, that's really exciting, and we're so grateful for it. 6 years now of Horse Capital TV. First of all, we got to thank you because you were an early adopter, and as a sponsor, we can't do Horse Capital TV without our partners, and you were right there from the beginning, and I'm so thankful for that.
Well, we believe in what you do. We believe in Ocala. We love where we live, and you're a part of that. And you help to showcase what is so special about Ocala. So I know that you're continually looking for avenues to showcase that on Horse Capital TV. What have been some of the most memorable ones?
Yeah, a lot of memorable things. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that we've been able to highlight all the different breeds and disciplines with our platform. I mean, you look at things like Arabian horses, the Keystone Arabian experience, Pasofino breed, so many different breeds that are here in Ocala, Marion County.
Horse capital of the world.
Yes, for sure. And I have to give credit to Barbara Hooper, who is the vehicle that makes Horse Capital TV run. So, it's not really about...
She's the smile behind the camera, isn't she? Yes.
She
and
is.
In front of the camera, actually. She's wonderful.
I don't think people realize that about Barb. She is the person that everybody has seen being a former TV anchor and had that experience, but she also is an excellent producer, and so she writes, she shoots, she edits a big portion of that content that folks are seeing.
What are some of the new things that you're looking to do this year and maybe coming up next year?
Yeah, well, we've expanded the platform into what is called an OTT platform. And so they're watching on devices like Roku and Fire TV, and we have our own app now, which is great. So if you have an Android or iOS, or you can watch on YouTube. So that distribution model has been very important for us because it means that our content is accessible anywhere you want to view it.
Well, and also on TV 20 in Gainesville, I was really surprised to see that a couple months ago. One of our shoots that we did was on TV 20.
Yeah, talk about coming full circle. So my first office when I moved down to Ocala, I was still living in Gainesville at the time. I would drive down to Ocala, and my first office was in the Marion Block building because I rented a room from TV 20.
Okay.
So, it's just another full circle example. Jeff Dillon got his start in the Marion Block building. He was in there for many years. And I credit Jeff as being a mentor as well because for so many years we worked together at OBS doing the under tax shows. So that gave me about 10 years of experience, being around thoroughbreds. One thing leads to another. And that's why we're sitting here at the FTBOA today.
Right. What's that partnership been like?
Yeah, it's been wonderful. So in 2013, we produced the first industry video for the FTBOA, and that relationship with Tammy Gant and Lonnie Powell at the FTBOA has just allowed us to now be here. And so that's been a really important relationship, and it's very similar to all the other relationships. They are relationships that are long. I'm really focused on that, but I'm so grateful for what we've been able to achieve being here and being able to produce the awards video gala that we highlight every year on Horse Capital TV. And there's just been a lot of great things. So without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we've been able to do.
So talk about your studio here.
2,100 square feet of studio space. We actually are producing your podcast here. I think this is episode 4, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'll look at my notes. I think I've at our Florida Thoroughbred Breeders, the Florida Horse Podcast, we're up to 17 or 18 at this point, which is great. All of our
great stories to tell, right?
Yes.
Great message.
Well, that's the other thing with our channel and platform. It's our goal to tell the stories about the people and the horses that make up the horse capital of the world. And I think that's best done through the associations that represent those groups and through the individuals that are actually working in those individual disciplines. In addition to Showcase, we also have a great group of sponsors for Horse Capital TV. That includes Equine Discounts, that includes Mid-Florida Heating and Air, Pachin and Glenn Attorneys at Law, and our friends at Ocala Polo.
You started doing the videos with them, right? And now they're into their podcast.
Yes.
And I think, how many do they do? One a week? Or what?
Well,
what's
we've done one a month. We're
Okay,
taking a
month.
break for the summer,
Okay.
and we'll be back in the fall. But Trucker Chat has been great, and I know that you've been really involved with polo as well. Being, with the center field out there, having the showcase, sponsoring that. It's just a great example of what this network can be, because I believe we've laid a good foundation for the future, and we can open up our programming in whatever makes sense, whatever direction makes sense. But polo's been wonderful to work with, and it's a lot of fun. So if you haven't been to a polo game, certainly you
they're
should check it
starting
out.
back up.
Summer is right here.
Yeah.
Right. I'm so grateful for you for using this format because of all the things that you do in the community. And to be able to highlight that, I think it's just a great vehicle to be able to do that.
Right. Well, and I appreciate you as well, because we've challenged you a little bit when we've had 5 people in here at one time.
That's true. But that's okay. Like, I always make it work,
Yes,
right? And
you
I
do.
think that's been my number one takeaway in business. Don't make it about yourself. Make it about the client. And then, the rest always falls into place.
Right. Well, you do a lot of things in the community besides horses. Talk a little bit about MCA and
That was
their
neat.
big project.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to be on the committee for Horse Fever 2020, and Lori Zink and Jay Bailey were great to work with, of course, Tammy Gant. Horse Fever, if you've been around like for 20 years or more in Ocala, you know how significant that project is. And what you were able to do with Hope and Paul Ware and the Horse Fever, that's the horse that's over there at Showcase.
Right. Anyone can come by and take a picture with them. We have a little seating area for those that may have lost someone with cancer, or someone that's dealing with cancer and they just need some reflection time. Come on by and see Hope.
That represents what Horse Fever represents for our community, for all the different stories and all the different horses that have different, they're represented by different art. And I just think it's been one heck of a project to be involved with. And the other thing I do is I've been on the board of the Frank DeLuca YMCA now for a couple of years, probably I'm thinking at least 3 years. Time just keeps flying by. And that's another organization that I'm passionate about, because a lot of people don't understand that the Y gives scholarships to a lot of folks that would not otherwise have an opportunity. It really is a safe refuge for people that may not otherwise have an outlet. And it's just all the Christian values and what the Y represents has been just great for me to be involved with. And I'm happy about that.
Sounds like a good podcast for the future.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. How can people contact you about maybe doing some projects for their organizations?
Well, we're always looking for stories for Horse Capital TV. You can go to horsecapitaltv.com and just message us there. Our website for the agency side is kaplanads.com. You can fill out a form there. What we're really looking for is the right partnerships. We've been able to really help a lot of people, and I think that's been my purpose in life, is to really help them fulfill a need when it comes to marketing, help their business grow, and help do the heavy lifting for them when they can focus on their business and not have to worry about marketing.
Well, we appreciate everything that you've done for us and what you're doing for the community, and the staff that you have is amazing.
Yeah, and I got to give a shout out to Steve Weaver too. He's my art director. I didn't mention him, but he has been great. He's been with me from the very start. We had a men's group many years ago. Steve was there. He agreed to come on with me, and now he's like a wingman. I believe you need to surround yourself with other people, to make up for the gaps. They've stuck with me and I stick with them, and I think that loyalty matters because that's something that's rare these days.
Yes, well, and the relationships that you've created with your customers as well is very important. So we thank you for everything that you've done. We thank you for everything you're doing in Marion County, and just thank you so much. We can't appreciate you more.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Discover Ocala is presented by Showcase Properties of Central Florida. As an independent brokerage firm for over 2 decades, Showcase Properties has helped customers throughout Central Florida achieve their real estate goals. Showcase Realtors offer expertise in a variety of property types and price points, and their services go beyond just buying and selling. Visit showcaseocala.com to connect with a dedicated local realtor and start your unique real estate journey today. We also want to thank you, the listener, for taking time to discover Ocala with us. We hope you enjoyed this month's episode, and if you did, please consider leaving us a review or rating wherever you're listening, or even telling a friend about us. If you have any questions on other organizations, individuals, or events you'd like to see covered in future episodes, you can get in touch with us directly at discoverocala@showcaseocala.com. See you next month.